Welcome aboard the Primetime News ship as we traverse current affairs waters on a Thursday evening. Good evening to our viewers across the globe. It's a pleasure having you. I'm Michael Madimba. We commence tonight's bulletin from State House, where Chief Justice of the Zimbabwe Supreme Court, Luke Malaba, paid a courtesy visit to President Nangolo Mbumba earlier today. During the visit, President Nangolo Mbumba underscored the need for Namibia and Zimbabwe to strengthen the judicial institutions for the future generations to find solid systems. Our State House correspondent Linia Dishina filed our lead report.
We live now in the neighborhood, which is an envy to many other regions. In the 70s and 80s, we were the area of problems, the area of the struggle, the area of fighting, the area of unpredictable mornings and evenings. Now we must enjoy this, and therefore we must strengthen our institutions that remain us. Your Lordship has said, we are not here forever, but those who follow us must at least find something solid that nobody can just come and say, what was here, what did they do? Yes, they will say that, but they will still find some signature. And I always say that we don't have to sign things on paper. Sometimes the signature we put is the work we left done.
I think I must say that this has been the most friendly visitation. This has been the most friendly visitation I have had, and I must register that publicly. We are very grateful to the government of Namibia for having facilitated this and allowed us to come and share the experiences, the beauties of your country, the cultures of your people, and we hope one day we will also invite my counterpart to Zimbabwe. I thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Staying atop Namibia-Zimbabwe relations. Chief Justice of the Zimbabwe Supreme Court, Luke Malaba, also visited his Namibian counterpart, Chief Justice Peter Chivute, at the Supreme Court in Windhoek earlier today. The justices discussed strengthening the judiciaries of both Namibia and Zimbabwe, sharing best practices that would benefit both jurisdictions, as well as formalizing ongoing and future collaborations. Andreas Thomas brings us this report.
Chief Justice Peter Chivute hosted his Zimbabwean counterpart, Luke Malaba, to strengthen judicial ties between the two institutions.
Our shared experiences have enriched both our judiciaries, fostering a mutual understanding and respect that forms the foundation of the Memorandum of Understanding we'll be signing today. The preamble of the MOU emphasizes our commitment to strategic partnership that leverages our collective expertise and capacities.
The mutual understanding and rapport existing between the two judiciaries is a foundation on which opportunities for increased cooperation are entrenched. But the purpose of the common understanding is to derive enhanced judicial system for the people of Namibia and Zimbabwe. Our consciousness of the duty to strengthen justice delivery is a positive step towards attaining the expeditious and effective dispensation of justice for the citizenry.
Justice Luke Malaba said the bilateral engagement between the Office of the Judiciary of Namibia and the Judicial Service Commission of Zimbabwe is steeped in a pre-existing tradition of mutual understanding. Konjeni Ambinga reporting for Primetime News.
Moving on. 2 people were allegedly evicted from the Ishandumbala house today in the capital following the purported purchase of the residence by a man who refused to speak to the media. The evictees claim the house was sold without their knowledge. Primetime News producers Sheila Peristrelo and Linia Dishina were at the scene and bring us more context.
No, come in. Move. Officer, move. Yes. Bring that. Please move. I have to put my seconds home. My sister, carry them.
Justicia Lysias, the daughter of the alleged owner of the residence, in an interview with Nampa, stated that this is the second time they have attempted to remove someone from their home.
They said they sold the house. The previous owner, took our things out. We must go outside. I don't know how. There's no proof that he bought the house, nothing.
The councillor of Katutura East constituency, Richard Gausep, was at the scene and ordered for the belongings to be moved back into the house until legal advice has been issued.
What we need is that the old man is alive. The old man did not sign any document. And if the owner of the house did not sign any document, it is illegal. So we appeal to the owner, the new owner, so-called one, go to the court. We've got system and procedures so that a case must be solved in the court. Because you cannot hijack somebody on the street and buy a house. It's illegal, you cannot do that. So the case is closed, the family is moving in until the court case is closed.
Sheila Perestrello reporting for Primetime News.
On to the global front. Namibia has praised the United States government for removing Cuba from the not fully cooperating countries list. Now, the U.S. State Department removed Cuba from the list due to changes in circumstances, particularly following the resumption of law enforcement cooperation between the U.S. and Cuba.
Cuba was initially placed on the not fully cooperating countries list in 2020 after it refused to collaborate with the government of Colombia on extradition requests related to members of the National Liberation Army, a designated terrorist organization. International media reports that the Cuban government did not formally respond to the extradition request for the National Liberation Army leaders, filed by Colombia after the group claimed responsibility for the 2019 bombing of a Bogota police academy that killed 22 people and injured 87 others. However, despite the recent developments, Cuba remains on the state sponsors of terrorism list, which Ambassador Penda Nanda, the executive director in the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation, described as unjustified, saying it has led to continued negative effects on Cuba, its people, and its economy. Nanda further reminded the U.S. government of the hardship faced by the Cuban people emanating from the unjust placement of Cuba on the state sponsors of terrorism list, adding that the Cuban people continue to suffer exclusions from international aid and trade owing to the country's continuous status quo on the list. Nanda further lauded the efforts of the U.S. government and other governments on combating terrorism in the region and worldwide, reiterating Namibia's long-standing call on the U.S. government to remove the unilateral placement of Cuba on the state sponsors of terrorism list, stating that it does not reflect the truth. Konjeni Ambinga reporting for Primetime News.
Stand by for your top roundup with the business segment thereafter. Welcome to the Primetime Biz segment, where we make sense of all things business and economics. We begin with an update on the recently held 10th World Water Forum in Bali, Indonesia, where the Executive Director of the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform visited the University of Gadjah Mada in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform and the Indonesian Ministry of Agriculture are in advanced stages of signing an MOU on agriculture, which will include seed development and animal vaccines.
We are mostly interested. Namibia is moving into an area where we want to develop our own seeds that is climate tolerant, for us to be able to produce our staple food. Because during COVID, we have actually learned a very big lesson that if we are not self-reliant on our staple food, it becomes very difficult, because there was a time almost the borders were closing and the grains was not coming in. So we want to develop the sector of seed production, and that's where we really want to collaborate with the UGM. Further, and very importantly, is to finalize the agreement that will enable the collaboration between the university here, your university, and our University of Namibia. That is already finalized. We just want really to see what you are doing here to enable us to finalize it so that you can collaborate with that university.
Switching attention to matters pertaining to youth empowerment. The Active Youth Organization on Wednesday held a Pathway to Impact at the Be Free campus under the theme Youth for the Implementation of Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. The event aimed to inspire young Namibians to participate in efforts to localize and achieve the 17 SDGs by 2030. Our One Economy Foundation correspondent reports.
During the event, Prime Minister Sarah Koengera-Amadila highlighted some of the government's commitments towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, while urging young people to advocate for change.
We have decided in government that 2% of the staff complement of the government, and we are about 100,000. So 2% of the 100,000 civil servants. These are positions that are reserved for young graduates to do internship in government ministries. And once you are done with your internship, 62% of the 100,000 staff complement of the government does not require you to have any kind of experience. It only requires you to have the appropriate qualifications. So it's very important for you to go to school.
Amadila described Sustainable Development Goals as a global call to action to end poverty, protect the Earth's environment and climate, as well as to ensure that people around the world can enjoy peace and prosperity. Sylvia Shondali reporting for Primetime News.
This is where the top segment concludes for tonight. We now take a look at how the weather prospects will shape up tomorrow and the weather report, followed by a roundup of the latest economic news. Welcome to Sport Planet, the segment dedicated to all things sport in action. Football headlines tonight's segment. Coaches from the recently promoted National First Division teams have praised the Namibia Football Association, or NFA, for allowing them to learn and exchange ideas with national selectors through its internship program. Now, the internship program launched by the NFA Technical Department and the Brave Warriors technical team allows local coaches to exchange ideas with national selectors in order to enhance the game in the country. In an interview with Sport Planet on Wednesday, Brave Warriors coach Colin Benjamin noted as part of the NFA open door policy, they are always looking forward to exchanging ideas with coaches from clubs. Now, our sports journalist Hesron Kapanga continues to track para-athletics action and reports that Namibia's T13 and T12 sprinters Johannes Nambala and Laia Ipinge missed out on an opportunity to represent their country in the final of the World Para-Athletics Championships after disappointing performances on Wednesday. Ipinge and Nambala competed in the 100-meter and 400-meter categories respectively during the evening session of the championships. Ipinge, along with her guide Paulus Philippus, was disqualified on Tuesday during a 400-meter heat. They once again took to the track, this time for the 100-meter heats, and ran a seasonal best of 13.23 seconds. Ipinge's time placed her sixth in the standings, as only the winner of the 3 heats and one of the fastest times from the 3 heats qualified for the final. Meanwhile, Nambala, the 2023 World Champs silver medalist on the 400-meter, missed out on an opportunity to represent Namibia in the final after being disqualified for infringing Rule 18.2 during his 400-meter heat. Stay tuned for your sports roundup. This is where the Primetime ship docks for tonight. Another Primetime News edition awaits tomorrow, so do make a date with me for Friday's edition. A parting reminder to follow the on-screen prompts and subscribe to the Number TV platform in order to stay updated on developments shaping our world. That's it from myself, Michael Madimba, and the zestful production team behind the scenes. It's adios.